Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new box office breakdown show here in Max Talk Movies. My name is Max Dinenberg. Today we're going to break down the box office of the Christmas weekend, turned out to be of December 23rd to December 25th. Look at the domestic and worldwide charts. A lot of movement. We're going to break it all down for our last box office breakdown show of 2022. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please click that subscribe button down below and ring that bell so you're notified when my videos drop. I do this show every single week, as well as other TV show reviews, movie reviews, and movie rankings. So please subscribe, ring the bell, comment down below. What did you see in theaters on Christmas? What are you going to see this upcoming week in theaters? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Also, please like the video, guys. That's how you support this channel in a really great way. Like the video, help the algorithm out so more people can check out this video. Let's get into the box office of the weekend first, domestically from the 23rd to the 25th. So I'm not doing the 4-day weekend. I know that technically it is a 4-day weekend. The 26th was technically a day off, but I'm just going to stick solely to the 3-day weekend. But stay tuned. My domestic and worldwide charts are updated even on to Tuesday the 27th. So this is just for this past weekend. And Avatar: The Way of Water, not shockingly, is in first place in just its second weekend, of course. It does drop 53% in its second weekend, another $63.3 million for Avatar: The Way of Water, and it gets up to $261 million domestically. We will get into the big numbers of Avatar when we get to the worldwide box office. Now, obviously, this was going to be a pretty tough task, but the first Avatar only opened at 70 million, but it only had a 2% drop off in its second weekend. That is a pretty tough one. That's the best number of all time. And obviously, After the Way of Water did not get there. But this is not a bad drop at all. This is actually really good numbers for Avatar: The Way of Water. Normally those blockbusters, these big-time blockbusters, Marvel, even Jurassic World, they'll drop off in the 65 to 70% range, which is just really not good. 60 even would be a bad number for Avatar. So the fact that it's around 50% is actually a pretty good number. And as I talked about earlier, there's nothing new major-wise coming out for the next month, and no one is taking these IMAX and 3D screenings away from Avatar. So even in I know I'm in LA, but my IMAX showings are still sold out here in LA because I think a lot of people have been patient or are being patient that they want. If they're going to see this movie in a movie theater, they're going to see it with good seats and in IMAX 3D. And that's why I think this movie has tons of legs moving forward. So good stuff from James Cameron. We're going to talk bigger picture Avatar when we get to our next two charts. We had three new releases come out this week. The first one is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish from Universal. Again, Avatar from Disney. This from Universal. And Puss in Boots makes 12.4 in the 3-day. But remember, Puss in Boots opened on Wednesday the 21st. So for the actual 5-day total for Puss in Boots, it made 18.5 million. So this is not as big as I thought. But based on the word of mouth, I also think Puss in Boots will have a long run in it. Everyone is loving this movie, very similar to Avatar: The Way of Water, both critics and audience, even more critics. This film is locked in at 97% critic score, has an A cinema score, and 95% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So everyone who's seen this movie thinks it's a really good movie. So I think the word of mouth is going to really push this film, because I just don't think at the original release of this movie, people had that interest in going back to this franchise. But I think people who are seeing it, including myself, want this franchise to get hot again. And it should be really interesting based on how strong the word of mouth has been in the last week for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, if this movie can gain ground over the next couple weeks, as there's no animated movies in the near future to compete with this film. So we shall see. What's about a second? The other big headlines were the two new releases of the weekend that did really bad for both studios. In third place was Whitney Houston, the biopic I Want to Dance with Somebody. Puss in Boots released on Wednesday, but the next two films on this list released on Friday. I Want to Dance with Somebody from Sony opened at $4.7 million. Just really low numbers. This movie has absolutely just no buzz around it. It came out obviously in prime time for awards season, but Naomi Ackie hasn't snagged really any nominations from any of the real award season hopefuls, including Golden Globes, Critics' Choice. And it seems like her chances to get in for the Oscars seems very bleak at this point. With this film getting really literally zero award buzz, and the fact that critics really bashed this film and audiences also did not like this film, that does not really set for a box office. And to even correct myself, this film has a 47% really on Rotten Tomatoes, but 90% audience score. There is for some reason, no cinema scores. We can only go off Rotten Tomatoes. So at least the people who are seeing it fans-wise seem to enjoy it, but $4.7 million is just not a good number. And with this film basically having no shot in awards season, this will probably slow this movie down a ton. But the biggest stunner, of course, I don't think stunner, but just a big headline is that Babylon really did bomb at the box office this past weekend. From Paramount, the new Damien Chazelle movie, JB is a number 4 of $3.6 million. This is really bad news for everyone kind of involved in this movie. Now, Damien Chazelle's movies haven't been the most box office successful, but I'll get into this second. This is his biggest budget. If you go from all of his movies have increased budget, Whiplash, which again was under $100 million domestically, only had a $3 million budget. So that film easily made its money back. La La Land had a near $30 million budget, and that was a huge success, nearly $450 million worldwide. So that easily made its money back. And First Man, with one of his bigger budgets that didn't really do so great, it had around a $60 million budget and grossed nearly like $40 million domestically. So just not great numbers there. But Babylon, even though with all those pushes of the Golden Globes nominating this film a ton, the critic scores, I think, really hurt this film. A lot of things hurt Babylon. And one of the things that this film is a budget of $110 million. And that is just too much money. I think another huge problem for this movie is that it's also over 3 hours, and it's back-to-back weeks of new releases being over 3 hours. And I feel like the people who want to sit in a theater for that long want to see Avatar at this point. And I just don't think the 3-hour, 10-minute runtime is just good market-wise to get people to see this movie in a theater. It was just awful timing for Babylon. I think if it was one of the rare movies of the year to be over 3 hours, it had kind of breathed. But the fact that it's just a week after Avatar come out and they basically have the same runtime, I don't think anyone and a lot of people saw Avatar, we're going to come back the next week in theaters and see another film that's basically 3.5 hours of your life in a movie theater. I don't think people have the time or even the money to do that for back-to-back weeks. This is going to be a huge hit for Paramount. We'll see if we get into Oscar nominations soon. If this film continues that, maybe they'll get more people to the theater. But it's a really bad stuff, especially a bad year for Margot Robbie. She had 2 pretty big, hopeful award puts with Amsterdam, which also really bombed earlier in the year, from David O. Russell. And now this film, which she could get some nominations. We'll see if this film will indeed get Oscar nominations, but a really bad news all around for Damien Chazelle and this film. And wrapping up the top 5 is Universal's, their second film on this list, Violent Night, which opened at 3.5, which is in its its 4th weekend, 3.5 million, 35% drop off. It's up to 30% drop off, 41.9, around 42 million domestically. Good numbers for our Violent Night, but this also comes with it being released on digital. This was movie a couple days before Christmas, was put on digital as I predicted, not on Peacock. But you can rent Violent Night right now, but it still kept it in the top 5. It's also kicked out Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It took 7 weekends for that film to be outside the top 5 domestically. When we look at the domestic charts, a lot of movement here. Top Gun Maverick still number 1, 718 million. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is at 428. Doctor Strange is at 411. Jurassic World Dominion's at number 4 with 376. The Batman is also on this list at number 6 of 369.3. Thor: Love and Thunder is at 7 with 343. Avatar: The Way of Water in just 2 weekends is number 8 domestically with 293. It will be probably inside the top 5 when I talk to you next weekend. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is at 9, Black Adam at 10, Elvis 11, Uncharted 12, Nope 13, Lightyear 14, Smile at 15, The Lost City 16, Bullet Train 17. Those are the 17 movies. This year, they're going to make $100 million. And now the real movement, which is the worldwide box office. Top Gun Mavericks at 1.4 billion. Jurassic World just gets over $1 billion. And already in just 12 days, Avatar: The Way of Water is at 955 million. It is going to reach $1 billion near 2 full weeks shorter time than the first film. And again, the first film was the highest grossing film of all time. Now, that film was in theaters for a very long time. We shall see if this film will do it, but it will definitely get to over $1 billion, which will make, again, the rumor is that Avatar: The Way of Water cost nearly $460 million before advertising, which means we need at least $1 billion just to break even. So obviously they were projecting at least a $2 billion film, and they have a real shot. There's no, as I said, big movies hitting theaters. People are still waiting and being patient to get to their IMAX showings, which are still sold out even now into its third week in theaters. It is a big deal, and I can't wait to follow this movie. I think the next couple weeks will show us, I think the next week or two will show us if this film can get to $2 billion. It's already near $500,000 away from already passing Top Gun, and I think it probably will pass Top Gun Maverick for being the highest grossing film of the year. And another cherry on top of Disney will not allow itself to lose in the worldwide box office. Doctor Strange got to 950, around 952. That's a number 4. Minions is at 5. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is at 6. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever getting to $800 million at the box office. Batman at 7. Thor: Love and Thunder at 8. So overall this year, all 3 MCU films get into the top 10, but only 2 get over $800 million, which seems to now be the new benchmark if an MCU film was deemed successful. If they get just over $800 million, and Black Panther just escapes that. But overall, the box office, we are pretty much done. There's no new films as another weekend. Last weekend, it was Christmas. This weekend is going to be New Year's, which is never a time for people to go normally to the theater. We shall see. The weather is getting a lot warmer. And what's crazy was last weekend was Christmas. There were a lot of bad weather really across the country, and still Avatar: The Way of Water had good numbers. So now with the weather starting to warm up again, will people go back to the theater, or will they go outside? Instead, there's no wide releases hitting theaters this upcoming week, so we're going to have to keep tracking Avatar: The Way of Water. So that's this weekend's box office. More videos are coming, including this is the end of the year. So the next couple of days, you're going to get my top 20 movies of the year, 20 to 11, then 10 to 1, and also the top 10 worst films I've seen this year. That's all coming the next couple of days. So please ring that bell and notified when you can show up.